we're still down here in Southern California. It's a beautiful day because there's an R34 GT-R behind me. You guys all know GT-Rs have shot up in value. They were legal for the longest time up here, or up there, sorry, in Canada, but they just became legal recently, at least the 99 model years down here in the States. And naturally, with any kind of collector's car, a somewhat rare car, the values have shot up. But a byproduct of that is a lot of people aren't driving their cars. Very sad. You know, I don't own one, so I can't really, you know, you do what you want with your car, but behind me is a car that actually gets driven. This belongs to Jesse Iwuji, NASCAR driver, all around good guy, and we're gonna go for a drive with him and see how, basically just ask him how he got his hands on this car and what his experience has been like for the time that he's owned it. Let's go for a drive. Jesse Iwuji.
Yeah, we're here.
What's going on, man?
Good.
Thanks for bringing the car out.
Yeah.
So this is awesome because you did what a lot of people dream of doing their entire lives, which is you went to Japan, experienced the culture,
Yeah.
you drive the car over there.
Over there a lot.
And then miraculously it appears here, and then
Exactly.
you put some kilometers on it. So
Quite a few.
what was that experience like?
So amazing experience. So when I was buying a R34 GT-R, I didn't want to do what some people do, which is buy it here, right? I wanted to buy one in Japan, but not only buy it in Japan, I wanted to go buy one and experience it in Japan. My good friend Jay, he brought a Sonic Silver one just like this, 1999, looks identical to this. He bought one from Top Rank. I didn't go through Top Rank because I wanted a different experience. Like I said, I wanted to buy one in Japan, so I went through a dealership in Japan, in Hamamatsu, Japan. But I went to Space Auto, I hit these guys up, very, very nice. They gave me a gigabyte folder worth of pictures and videos and everything.
Wow.
And when they gave me that and I saw the transparency, every corner, every edge, everything they showed me, they weren't hiding anything. They gave me the auction sheet on like what the vehicle was rated at, everything. It was a grade 4 from the auction. It had 48,000 kilometers on it. It was like basically virtually new. I was like, you know what, I have to get this car. So I ended up buying it from them. I got it for just under 120 grand. And this was 2 years ago. Same car today, will definitely be more. But I got it at the right time. The way the yen was, it worked out well for me. But yeah, since then it's been a crazy experience. Immediately started modifying it, nothing major, just minor stuff. I worked on suspension, tires, wheels, a little bit of exterior stuff, exhaust, and that's it. The car's not even like tuned for like any high power or nothing. It's still stock RB26, stock twin turbos. We put it on the dyno here in the US on a hub dyno. Now, mind you, hub dynos read more than dyno jets, but on the hub dyno, this thing made from Japan, before we did anything, from Japan, it made 354 horsepower to the hub, which is crazy.
That's incredible,
yeah,
actually.
354, yeah. So
I
like,
mean, everybody knows the gentleman's agreement, 276 at the crank. They were rated higher than that, but that much higher?
So 354 at the
nuts.
hub, which means at the motor, it makes even more. This car at the motor, probably stock, makes 375 to 400.
Wow.
Like, people don't realize how much Nissan didn't tell the truth.
Yeah.
So
which we're okay with.
Yeah,
We're fine
yeah.
with that,
And
you
it
know?
makes sense why this car was ripping like crazy on track. I've been to Fuji Speedway, Suzuka Circuit, Scuba Circuit. If you go on fastestlaps.com, I have the record for this car in stock form for all 3 of those tracks. And it's been really amazing. I ran a 159.5 or 159.6 or something like that at Fuji Speedway. At Suzuka Circuit, I ran 233. At Scuba Circuit, I ran 105, and it could have been quicker. I ran all these lap times on the same tires, never changed tires each one. I literally went 3 straight track days in a row and just ran these times.
Wow.
I was like, boom, done. I can ship it here to the US now.
That's incredible, man. What drew you to the R34? Are you a Gran Turismo kid? Are you a Initial D kid? Like, where did that stem from?
I love all racing games. Even right now with the latest Forza Motorsport, super amazing game. But Forza wasn't out in like the late 90s. It was Gran Turismo, and I think maybe there was Need for Speed out too, and there was another game, and I forget what it was called. Played a lot of Gran Turismo back in that day. So Gran Turismo 2 in 1999, 2000 or so, had that game, and that's when I first fell in love with the R34 GT-R. I saw it on there, the Mines R34 GT-R. I fell in love with that car, and since then I was like, I have to get this car. When I went to Japan to experience it for the first time, I was like, I want to get some Mines exhaust. Well, the dealership at Space Auto, they were like, you know what? We can get you the Mines exhaust, but how about we have Mines install it for you while we're here? Wow. I was like, boom,
sure,
blow it up. I get to go to Mines Motorsports, be there in their garage while they work on my R34 GT-R that I fell in love with on Gran Turismo 2 with the Mines R34 GT-R, and now I'm in their shop and they're working on my car. Like, I was like, this is crazy. So super pumped about that. Got to do that. They installed the titanium exhaust on here. Car sounds good. It's not super loud, but it sounds good. And yeah, the experience of having this car, tracking it in Japan, going to underground car meets, and going on all the crazy adventures that I went on in 7 trips to Japan, which I spent like just under like 3 months there.
Nice.
It was amazing, but I put a lot of kilometers on it while there. I think like 15,000 while I was in Japan with the car. And then shipped it here to the US and been experiencing it since then. Yeah, so cars are meant to be driven. You store them, they break. The cars are not meant to just sit forever. Tires will dry rot. All these things can happen to a vehicle when it just sits. Like, cars were never developed to just sit. They have to go. They gotta stay lubricated. They gotta keep working. You stop doing that, things get brittle, things don't work as well anymore. Electronics start acting funky. It just doesn't work. My theory with any car I've ever bought is I'm buying it to drive. I'm not buying it to store it. Now, do I daily this every single day of my life? I don't. I almost drive it every day. You know, sometimes I'll drive to go work out and come back, so it's only like, you know, a few miles or whatever. But on the weekend, best believe this thing is seeing anywhere from 100 to 250 miles every weekend. When I see some kid or even grown adult and I see their jaw literally drop, like, I know it's like a cliche to say jaw drop, I'm not lying. Anyone who has this car understands what I'm saying. When you drive this car on the street and you drive by someone who knows what it is, their jaw literally drops. I can count on more than 2 hands on how many people I literally saw go, like, it is crazy. And these people love the car, and because I'm driving it, they're getting to finally see their dream. They're seeing their dream car. Even though maybe they'll never attain that car, they at least finally got to see it. And if I just kept it in the garage somewhere, they never see it. Imagine how many days I made where somebody probably went back home and was like, oh my God, like, hey babe, I just saw an R34 GT-R today. I never thought in my life I would ever see one in real life, and they got to see it. So give people the opportunity to enjoy it as well. Obviously, you don't have to let them drive it or anything like that, but just by them seeing it, it makes a huge difference.
100%. The car's here. We're gonna go for a drive in a second. Do you want to pop the hood and just show me this crazy suspension setup?
Hey, pop the hood.
Pop the hood.
Pop the hood. Insert the clip. Hey, it's not how you stand by your car, it's how you race your car.
Insert the next clip.
You've done something a little bit out of the ordinary here.
Definitely. This is the only car in the United States of America that has active suspension on an R34 GT-R. We have the JRZ RS Pro 3s active, and they're on this car. So that's why you see these cables and things coming from each angle, because this car basically now handles like a modern car. And when I say modern car, I dare to compare it to a Porsche GT3. This thing handles so freaking good. And the adjustability on it, even if you just come to the 4 corners of the car, you have these canisters right here, which you can adjust high speed compression, low speed compression. You can adjust it on all 4 corners. And then a fan right there. Just
so many of those today.
So many. But not only can you physically adjust things right there, you can actually go on an app. There's a Bluetooth app on your phone that you can use to adjust the suspension on the go. You can adjust damper, pitch and dive, roll, and you can adjust it anywhere from 0 to 100 for each one of those. So if I'm like, you know what, I just need 10% more, I can go from 9 to like 19. Or if I'm like, you know what, I need 2% less, I can go from 82 to 80. You can have that kind of finite adjustability on all 4 corners. But for me, I like to be able to adjust it myself, so I go to the custom mode and I adjust everything. So on our way up here, I basically firmed up everything to the max. I'm like, I want this thing to be like a race car all the way up here. Going back home, I'm gonna soften it all up and I'm gonna make it feel like a Cadillac Escalade.
That's a modern upgrade, man.
Exactly.
But here's a question for you. Now, are you gonna go back to Laguna Seca and try to beat your laptop?
I will. So with the suspension, it's gonna definitely help out. The reason why I upgraded from the HKS Hypermax coilovers to the JRZ RS Pro 3 active suspension, the reason why I made that upgrade was because I saw a picture of my car when I was at Laguna Seca with the HKS, and I was going into the corkscrew, and it was the back of the car, and the car was leaning over pretty good. I'm like, man, all that lean means the weight isn't evenly distributed between all 4 tires. Even though this is all-wheel drive and it has the Tesla system, I'm not distributing the weight properly. I need something that's gonna be a little bit firmer and be able to handle that distribution a lot better. Now when I go back, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to knock off a few more seconds off my lap time, especially if I throw on some new tires too as well.
Awesome. Should we go for a drive?
Let's go on a drive.
Let's do it. Maybe I could take some notes from you. You're a professional drive. Well, I'm a professional driver too, but in a different way. I do it for a living, just not on the track.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any open wheel stuff?
Not in a race, but I've driven. I went to Abu Dhabi. I drove like an F3 car there once.
Wow.
That was fun. Yeah, it was like a little experience thing because I was there for actually SEMA Middle East. And then I had some time, and I just went to the Abu Dhabi track. And I'm like, yeah, we got this experience thing. I was like, okay, cool.
Clutch pedal's heavy. Is this a factory clutch?
Stock clutch, yeah. I didn't think it was heavy. I thought it was light. But that's because I'm used to my C6 Z06, which has a McLeod like stage 3 clutch, so that's heavy.
Well, yeah, no, totally. And recently I've been driving a lot of new cars, which are very soft. They have a tendency to be softer. Easy to drive though. So much clutch feel too.
So weird being on this side. I haven't been on this side in a while. Since Japan, maybe.
I mean, it feels smooth so far.
Yeah.
Firm, but like not jarring.
I have it turned up all the way. I could soften it, and we'll do that at some point so you can then feel like, holy crap, there is a pretty big difference.
Honestly though, like for all the way turned up, this is not,
too bad.
No, it's not jarring. Like it's, you can tell you'd rather be driving on the track right now in this setting.
Yeah, this is definitely more for the track, that's for sure.
We were talking in the Maserati MC20 of how the boost comes on real quick. No, not compared to this.
Yeah.
The turbos are just spooled super quick.
But this thing actually, is fairly responsive, compared to like big turbo RB26s. Big turbo RB26s have a lot of power, but it takes a little bit for them to kind of kick in.
Yeah. So
my 32 had a big turbo. It was an 8374 Borg Warner, and it's making 675 to the hub, and it was a strong car, but definitely wasn't as responsive as this one. Now, once you got into power and you're using sequential, then that thing was just going for days, but you had to get there first, versus this is just kind of like this very immediate kick, even though it's still stock power.
It's so smooth. The thing I love most about R34 GT-Rs are how refined they are, especially when you consider the time period they were built in.
Yeah.
People say they were ahead of their time, and of course they were, but it's tough to translate that into through a video.
Yeah.
Just how easy to drive they really are. Ideally, in a perfect world, you have two R34 GT-Rs. Mm-hmm. One that's 700-800 wheel, and one that's mostly stock. God, after driving all these drive-by-wire cars, having real tactile feel in the throttle pedal and in the brake pedal. Ooh, nice R8.
Beautiful.
It's just so refreshing. Shifter feels good.
Yeah, stock shifter, it's a low mileage car.
Non-V-Spec, correct?
Yeah, non-V-Spec. It's a base model, Series 1, Series 1, I believe. R34 GT-R. Funny thing is, for Sonic Silver Series 1 R34 GT-Rs, only 412 were ever made. So
wow.
In its own right, it actually is fairly rare.
No kidding.
Bayside Blues command more, buying power because they're just Bayside Blue.
Of course.
But they're not rare.
Well, and you look at R34 GT-R production numbers in general, it's not a ridiculously rare car overall, but it's when you're talking about V-Spec, V-Spec 2, and the color combinations, that's when they become rare.
Exactly.
They made something like 10 or 11,000.
11,000, just over 11,000 R34 GT-Rs were ever built.
Okay.
And if you think about it, today maybe only 8,000 or 9,000 of them are actually still alive.
That's a good point.
How many of them have been turned into race cars? How many of them have been crashed and just completely demolished? How many of them have been crushed? How many of them are sitting at the bottom of the ocean because some ship sunk or something crazy? How many of them tsunamis, fires, earthquakes, whatever? I mean, how many of them are just never, went somewhere and then got abandoned and you don't even know where they're at?
Okay, now that I'm feeling the suspension in its stiffest setting, I don't think it's too stiff. What I think this has over a lot of other lower tier suspension systems is it's not too bouncy. Especially on the street. On the track, this would be probably amazing. But especially if you go to a cheaper coilover setup.
Because they're just set to one way and they're just constantly all over the place. If you back up the corner a bit and let these guys go and kind of feel like going to the corner, you're like, dang, this thing is kind of nice.
Well, yeah, and the moment you don't match the spring rate and the damping, then you get just not good suspension feel here. But brakes are super touchy. Like, I like it, you know?
Project Mu brake pads, they're amazing.
It's like not a lot right at the top, but then you feel it immediately there.
Yeah.
Plenty of power.
Yeah. It's really all you need. I mean, yeah, maybe it could use another 50 to 75 would be nice, but like no more than that.
It's a good like sweepers, you get some camber, like you can lean on the suspension. I know we're not really pushing it in the suspension today, but the best part about 34s are the size of them.
Yeah.
Perfect size car.
Perfect size car. Yeah, it's not too big, not too small.
All right.
I'm liking the feeling of the car right now. Being here, I can feel it without having to like be driving. I like it.
Just from the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Daily driven. I'm gonna say daily driven. R34 GT-R in Los Angeles, California, surrounding area.
I have more miles on this car, I would say, the amount that I drive it than some people's daily drivers have.
I love it, man. It's not something you see every day. And it's just awesome to see cars like this being driven because it is a driver's car.
Yeah.
It's one of the best driving cars from the 90s.
And it's not overrated and it's not overhyped. That's the one thing you keep hearing about these. It's so funny that prior to like a few years ago, these cars were never overrated or never overhyped. Go find other $45,000, $50,000, maybe even $60,000 cars and put it on track. This thing will hang with it.
Yeah.
Like it really will. So it's not overrated, it's not overhyped, it has plenty of power, plenty of handling once you upgrade the suspension. You don't have to go with $10,000, $11,000 suspension like I did, but if you just get some decent coilovers, you can, this thing actually runs well, some good tires, and I mean, I did a sub 2-minute lap at Fuji Speedway. Typically, you need a newer car to do that, and usually 25-year-old cars don't do that.
Yeah, you basically just bring it up to modern-ish spec.
Exactly.
Refresh all the stuff in the engines, seals, gaskets, whatever you need to do.
I didn't do any of that. This everything under the hood is stock.
That's crazy.
25 years old.
Yeah, why fix it until you need to?
No seals, no nothing. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
The only thing done is the suspension, the upper arms on the fronts because I needed that to be able to get the right alignment. Tires, brake pads, brake fluid, steel braided lines for the brake lines.
Yeah.
My exhaust. And now I have a ECU that I can use here in the U.S. because the old ECU was only spec towards Japanese fuel, so I had to get this so I can use 91.
Sure.
But besides that, yeah, I mean that's what the car is. There's nothing else changed. The car is still stock everything. I mean it's 25 years old and it works. You felt it. It's smooth.
Don't mess with it.
Yeah.
It's a nice cruiser. I would drive this across the country. I think it's, and just before we go here, as far as price, I've said this in previous videos. I think the R34 GT-R is a $100,000 driving experience.
Yeah.
Now, to pay $250,000, you have to really love this car.
Yeah.
To pay that amount of money. But I would say if you can get one under 150,000 USD, it's so worth it.
And a lot of people like to say they're all over 150, they're all over 200. They're not.
No, they're not.
Like some of them are.
Yes.
But not all of them.
The ones people are showing off on Instagram.
Yeah, those ones are going to be super expensive. But this one, as you've all seen, it's a very nice car, super clean. The interior, there is not a single rip or tear in any of the interior.
No.
I haven't updated, refreshed anything in the interior. Everything
the dash
is perfect. No bubbles. No. Everything is perfect here. And this car was $118,000 to be exact.
That's incredible. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Appreciate it. You guys, we just got out of the MC20 Cielo drop top, I guess I could call it. That video is, yeah, it's probably live by the time you're seeing this. And if you haven't already, Jesse has an awesome YouTube channel. Go subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe. I have two of them. Jesse_Wuji. That's JESSE_IWUJI. You'll probably see it
right there
somewhere here. And then the other one that's more specifically for my R34 GT-R. It's literally called the underscore R34 underscore GT-R, and you'll see that
right there.
somewhere right here.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time.